Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to a breakdown edition of the Garden Report after Celtics Magic Game 1. We looked at the tape going into the series, previewed it on CLNSmedia.com, and of course, given that it was such a wacky matchup during the year, guys didn't play, guys like Jalen Suggs have gotten hurt since, teams made adjustments, teams reined in their rotations. This was a different looking game. And so, what surprised me here? The struggles Jason Tatum, specifically Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis went through, as well as the lack of free throws for the Magic here. I thought this was going to be a parade of free throws for Orlando in this series, and Boston only sent them there 11 times. Those are real positives for the Celtics because you don't think Brown, Tatum, Porzingis are going to be that bad the rest of the way, and doesn't look like Boston's going to foul as much as they could have in this series. The challenges, this was as much of a slog of a game as we expected. Just 87 possessions for each team in this game, way below what you would expect from teams, as well as limited three-point attempts for the Celtics as expected. 16 in the first half. They got more after halftime, 37 in this game. They were great looks, the ones they did produce, but they were hard to come by in this game, and it definitely threw off, made the Celtics offense adjust a little bit, and put them in an uncomfortable position. But as championship teams do, they adjusted, they acclimated, and there were some real surprise performances through this game that we'll get into. Headlined by Derrick White's 30. He led the offense in this game early, often, kept them in it. They trailed by 1 at halftime. If it wasn't for him, they're probably much further out of this game at halftime than they were there. So how did they get him going? I didn't expect White to have a good series here. He shot 41% against the Magic during the season and thought the switching would take away his threes that Orlando does. Thought the packing the paint that the Magic do would prevent him from getting to the interior. So where'd the Celtics find him? In the corners. They were able to draw some Magic help out of the corners early in this game. And you see some kickouts here that got White going early in this first half. Those were so crucial to the Celtics being able to find threes, which, again, were hard to come by in this one, and find some reliable offense when Tatum and others started slow. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis didn't hit a three until the fourth quarter of this game when Tatum hit one later in that frame. Then later, you start seeing the gravity of White and some of these other guys, some hesitation by the Magic, some mistakes in their switching that allowed him to get going off screens. And he hit some tough shots in this game. Long threes, gutsy ones that are going to bend the Magic defense a little bit. Now, he still struggled inside a little bit. You see the floaters miss here with some help lurking from the Magic. You see him not being able to get all the way to the rim. So I still have some questions about White in this series because dribble drives, floaters, those sort of things is still important to his game alongside the threes. But his ability to break out at the level he did and not really feel that Orlando defense was a massive pleasant surprise from this game. And that goes hand in hand with Payton Pritchard's performance in this one. The movement he pulled off in the half court here was exceptional. He looked like Steph Curry on some of these possessions, going baseline, getting out to the wing, catching and shooting. But it was really the pace that Pritchard provided in this game that got the Celtics going here. I talked to Al Horford a little bit about that in, I believe, Memphis right before the regular season ended, and talked about how much the Celtics want to speed things up. And he said it depends on the lineup. When he's out there with Pritchard, they do want to push things a little bit.
I know when Payton's out there, he likes to get out and play faster. So, we enjoy that. We want to get out there and do that. And then there's other times that we have to be a little more methodical. And I think that's, one of the strengths of our team.
But the bigger surprise with Pritchard in this one, some real isolation scoring from him. You didn't think he'd have access to the paint. Well, he lined up Cole Anthony and did this nasty step through that I thought was one of the best moments of this game. He lined up Wendell Carter above the three-point line like he was Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown and got downhill to finish in this one. And then you see later in the first half, after he hit a bunch of shots in a row, him drawing defenders off the three-point line and finding Derrick White for a three. Again, other guys getting it done for the Celtics in this game changed the way that the Magic had to defend and opened up the three-point line for the Celtics in the second half.
Shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Guys, download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's the code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
So let's go to the defensive side. Jrue Holiday starts this game on Paolo Banchero. Expected that we're going to see a little more Holiday playing up in position, guarding the Giannis's of the world in this postseason run now that he's gotten through the rest and recovery from his injuries in the regular season. That finger seems to be a little more healed now as well. He got a stop on Paolo in the first play of this game. Saw him later holding Paolo to 0-3 throughout this one. Tough face-up shots. I think the Celtics, despite allowing 35 to Paolo in this game, made him take the kind of threes, kind of twos that they wanted him to. He got inside a couple times, and we'll get to that later. But overall, Holiday did a great job against him. Here's him talking about that approach, trying to guard Banchero after this game.
Just being aggressive. You don't really want him to see too much of anything. Just a bigger body, so in the post, kind of knowing tendencies and what he likes to do. And then if he ever has the ball, above the three-point line and it's squared up to me, just try to hound the ball and make it difficult.
So we also saw a little bit of Holiday on Wagner late in this game as well. I thought the Celtics mostly held Franz Wagner in check in this game, made him take tough twos. The threes you give up to him aren't really threats. And that gets us to another thing I expected to see in this game, and a major factor in why the Celtics won is Boston's ability to force turnovers here. They turned up the pressure. They brought the extra help. They pulled guys away from non-shooters on the three-point line, as you expect they would, against a Magic team that actually did hit threes in this game. It was 7-7 at one point, the three-point makes. About midway through this game, Paolo got going. Some other guys hit threes, including Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But you see Holiday again able to increase some pressure here, cause some deflections, create some steals. I don't know what this pass was by Paolo right here. You get into deflections, live ball turnovers, and it was really Boston's ability to get out on the run after turnovers that opened up this game into the third quarter. You see Holiday here pushing the pace after a turnover, able to hit a three there. And the other way, when the Celtics turned it over, the Magic were able to open up the floor a little bit, and they talked about trying to increase the pace after this game. Even though that they're normally a team that wants to play at a slower pace, they're seeing the need to get out on the run and create some extra opportunities for themselves as well. So the turnover battle in this game is going to be everything. And this play right here, early in the third, 1 point game, Wendell Carter almost gets a turnover on White here, loses it. Porzingis gets it back, throws it to Brown for a go-ahead bucket here. I thought that was the most important play of the game. A real momentum moment for the Magic potentially there. Turns into 2 easy points for the Celtics, and they built on that for the rest of that third quarter. You got to have those. And their turnovers in turn that we watched there were just ridiculous throughout the third quarter. So that's where this game got out of control there. But still, some things that didn't go as well for the Celtics here, they're going to have to do better at. That was a big message from him after this game, is it's going to be tougher on Wednesday in game 2. It's going to be even harder for them to create turnovers and do all the different things that they did here when the Magic adjust. And I think the Magic came away with some wins in this one. Obviously, the halftime lead, but neutralizing Kristaps Porzingis, the big one. I was stunned at how ineffective he was in this game. You knew that there was a possibility they could stash some wings on him. They did that. I did not expect to see this early in the game, and Porzingis ends up hitting this shot. But the Magic switch Corey Joseph out of a switch, doing a pre-switch here to get Paolo Banchero on Porzingis and force a tough 2 here. They love that shot, even though he hits it here. You saw Caleb Houston play in this game and hold up against Porzingis in the post. It was a super inefficient scoring night inside for Porzingis, who took only 2 3-point attempts in this game due to the switching. You also saw the deeper post-ups against Banchero here. That didn't work. So obviously some misses, some situations Porzingis was in where he could hit shots in the future here, but they made it difficult. They took the pick and pop, the pick and roll game away from him, collapsing defensively here, able to just strip the ball away from him. He was completely out of rhythm, out of sync with the rest of the offense in this game. Never became much of a factor in this one. They were willing to foul him as well. And I thought one thing the Magic did well in this game was foul when they were about to give up a basket, when they were about to give up an advantage, maybe running back in transition. Just fouls on the floor to stop the game, ruin Boston's flow a little bit. And as long as you're not committing dumb fouls, and they did commit a few in this game, Pritchard on the three-point line. You had a couple bonus fouls as well. Corey Joseph ended up in foul trouble in this game. Those are good ways to slow things down. And the Magic did mostly defend one-on-one in this game. You see Isaac on Jason Tatum here. He's able to get a stop. They never brought much help against Tatum, and that limited Boston's ability to get the ball popping in the half court, do some of those pass possessions you're used to seeing them do when teams do put double teams on Tatum, Brown, and certainly Porzingis as well. There was some experimenting in this game as well. In the second quarter, Celtics go zone. Didn't work great. Banchero beats it backdoor right away here. It looked like a 1-3-1 to me. And you also had a double big look here. Luke Cornett came in midway through the second quarter with Porzingis playing ineffectively. Try to get that Tatum combination going. Try to recreate some of the success Horford and Cornett had together during the regular season. And whether it was because that's just not a lineup that's going to work in this series, or the zone that they played in, or the Magic just having a good shooting game, it didn't work great here. Gives up a Caleb Houston 3 right away. Paolo beats it in the wing again from the same spot here. And then offensively, you look at some of the spacing issues here. Cornett never able to get into some of the screen and roll game chemistry, offensive creation that he did there in the regular season. And he was a pretty quick pull in this first half before they went back to Pritchard and some traditional lineups in the second half. I still feel good about Luke in this series. He had a putback dunk. He had some deflections here, but the experimenting that the Celtics did with the zone and the double big stuff in the second didn't work great, and let the Magic get back into the game after a strong start for the Celtics. But Boston dominates the second half. Pritchard's awesome. White's great in this game. Holiday outstanding. Again, those transition threes, I thought, were the game changers in this one. But enough positives from the Magic for them to be able to get back up on their feet, defend well again in the next game. But is there enough free throws, offensive rebounding? They didn't find that after halftime. Certainly the three-point advantage is always going to be in Boston's hands in this series. And the turnovers that they committed were just so bad. So you're talking about all four of the big factors in these games going to Boston. In this game, they lose the offensive rebounding. That made it a little close early. If the Celtics win all of those in the next game and the games after that, that's where you start to look at a sweep here. So this game, to me, first half looked like what I expected this series to be. Second half, for everyone who thought this was going to be a sweep or maybe 5 games, you're probably feeling pretty good coming out of that second half with how many more things could go right for the Celtics. In game 2 on Wednesday, we'll have coverage of that over on TD Garden, practice coverage over the next couple of days here as well. Magic, Celtics going to be both practicing in Boston ahead of that one. And then we'll have coverage of the game, 7 p.m. tip-off at TD Garden. Garden Report to follow, as well as coverage pre and post game here on CLNS Media and Celtics All Access. And stay tuned for more breakdown podcasts after these games throughout the Celtics playoff run, trying to win their 19th banner. I'm Bobby Manning. This has been a breakdown edition of the Garden Report.